like this bluegill,
where they are, they're going to be there during tournament day.
It gets it to react to, which is it's like a binary switch.
Don't ever cook bacon naked.
Nope, don't do it. I've done that too. Right off the bat, I'm late as usual. On top of it, I now have a co-host. I finally convinced my buddy here to come on and be a co-host, so I don't have to always go find a guest. I will have someone who, if you guys could be a fly on the wall for any of the 50,000 conversations that we have on a daily basis, it definitely ends up being random, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
So I figured, why not just bring everybody live together and we can hang out. And I will say there's going to be a weird format this year, and I want to explain how 2025 is going to work, and then we will get into just honestly talking until our guest shows up. The thing that's kind of funky is, if anybody has followed Janelle's channel, they know that her whole point of her channel is traveling. Well, with traveling comes lack of cell phone service, and power and location may not be conducive for, if she's sleeping in some Walmart parking lot by a dumpster, she may not want to jump on and be live because she's trying to hide. So,
like I am tonight, literally
exactly,
tonight.
literally sitting in a parking lot so she can record from the bus. So you guys saw my Cayuga trip. This is the bus that we recorded Bobby's podcast in. And you will see a lot more of in a future ice fishing video that we were just talking about. But moral of the story is, she's going to be here. We're trying to do it twice a month is the goal. But I also have a co-host as a backup in case Janelle can't be available. So for the most part, you're going to see me or my buddy Chris, or all three of us, depending on how things work out. But this is a trial run, so be really, really kind to her and get her to want to stay, because I really want to kind of keep her going with she started her own podcast and kind of failed at it, so I'm forcing her to do mine, because then maybe she will start getting back into it.
Dick thing to say. Wow.
You didn't fail at it, you just haven't had time to do it.
I didn't fail at it. I didn't have time to do it, and I had so many ideas, and just kind of. I also went through a divorce and all this life shit, so calm down, bro.
Wow, she threw the divorce out into the internet this quickly. That's impressive.
Big change. It's a big life change. So
it was.
I was proud of what I did. It's definitely not dead forever. It's just I want to find my own lane, and I want to make sure that it's what makes me happy. So I felt like I was kind of doing some things that were already being done. I didn't want to copy anybody, but I mean, everybody does.
Yeah, not that kind of trial.
Yeah, no, not that kind of trial. But
okay.
Yeah, no, the Adventures audio podcast will be back at some point, probably when I'm on actual adventures, when I'm traveling and I'm in places and I've got some interesting Walmart parking lot stories to share.
Honestly, maybe we'll start the Spawn podcast network, and then we can just feature episodes on both. So, because I'm not going to let her stop being my co-host, I'll just keep hounding her to come on episodes, even if she does decide she wants to give it up. But
that's cute.
So we were talking about we were supposed to have a guest. I'm not sure what's going on. He was supposed to be on, but he may just be busy. JIgs was supposed to come on, but I will talk about one thing that we are going to be doing soon is an ice fishing send. There is going to be, let's say, I'm going to say at least 4 or 5 days worth of content that we're going to end up recording, minimum. So the good thing about that is going to be lots of content. The bad thing about it is she's going to have to deal with me, and I'm actually going to be sleeping in my truck, guys. So
I'm
it's going to be
excited
interesting.
to see the truck. I mean, if I had a tap on the window, I'll know that you were too freaking cold and you have to come crash in here, but that's fine. So
I'll have to show you some of the redneck engineering I did with this thing. So
I'm excited.
I bought it, and the duct on that thing is this long. It's useless. Yeah, it's absolutely useless. So I went and bought a dryer chute, like a dryer heating vent, because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's heat resistant. It's the same material. It's an inch diameter bigger than the duct that comes with the heater. So
Okay.
I redneck engineered an adapter.
Right.
So what I did is I took the 3-inch flange that they gave you, and I actually attached it to the 4-inch flange that you use in the dryer duct, so that I made basically an increase situation. So
That's awesome.
it actually worked really good. I ran it in the shed for a day when I sent you that photo, and
Right.
it really changed the temperature of my like really not. You can't even call it poorly insulated. 3 of the walls are literally tarps that are stapled to studs. Like it's
Yeah.
not at all. And
Right.
on top of it, it was 16 degrees.
Yeah.
So
What is it right now?
it's pretty cool.
Don't mind my
Is it
don't
snowing
mind
down
my
there?
sniffling, everybody. There will be sniffling because I don't have the wood stove on. Where are we at? What's the weather right now? 30 degrees.
Oh yeah,
Low
it's
of 19. Holy cow! It's windy too. It's windy up here today. I don't
yeah.
know why it's so windy, but it's windy.
So you've got
Anyway,
some fishing coming up, at least
I got
open
some
water
fishing. I
fishing.
got some camping. I've got some crafting because the scrapbooking trip's also coming up. I'm excited. Yeah,
Right.
Bobby's coming down in oh my god, like a week, 10 something like that, 10 days, and we're
Like a week from
doing
today, isn't it?
ascend. Yeah, I think something like that. I'll
Yeah.
winging it right now. We'll figure that out. We're going camping at the same spot that he came down last time, but it's winter now, which
Yeah.
I'm not a winter fisherwoman.
So I have to say, when he said to me, I was texting him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going down to Jersey," and I'm like, "When?" And he's like a couple weeks, and I was like, "Huh?"
He misses me, I'm sure.
Well, it's a combination of like I will say, if anybody is getting their money's worth from buying a bow,
Oh, for sure.
it's Bobby,
Oh,
because
I can't
that dude
imagine
is
what I'll be like when I
fishing
get one.
like 4 days a week, and he's like, "Oh, there's ice on the edge, but I might try to send it." And I'm like, "Huh, dude? My kayak's
Yeah.
been put away since fucking like Halloween."
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna go open water. It's the same. Is it now? Does snakehead bite in the wintertime? Or is that
I
like a
don't
dorm? Do they go
know.
dormant?
I don't fish in the wintertime. I've only ever gone
I
ice
wonder if they
fishing
do.
2 or 3 times at this little pond up in our mountain house in Pennsylvania, and I literally mean like dropping worms down a split shot on a hook and just
Yeah.
like hoping.
Yeah.
Like I've never open water fished any later than September, like the end of September. Like I don't
I
fish
broke my
in the
record. I
winter.
got into November. I touched November this
There
year,
you go. There you
but
go.
I caught 2 fish in 7 hours. I think the biggest one was 16 inches, which is good, but like
Yeah.
even the fish looked pissed off. Like it was
Like what
like
the fuck are
I
you
caught
doing?
a largemouth, and I was holding the largemouth, and it just stayed bent. Like it didn't even straighten its body. It just
It
stayed like
was
a mounted
it was like
largemouth.
it was flicking you off in
Yeah. Like,
largemouth.
you know when
Like
they do
fuck
that
you.
pose with a largemouth where they have that like bend to him? It was like that, and he just didn't
Mhm.
move. He's like, "It's too goddamn cold. Just put me back." Like he's just done.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is not worth my time anymore."
I've
And
I've gone in like in the winter and I've thrown a jerkbait around and I did catch one pickerel. So if we go to a spot that has pickerel, we should be all right. There's no pickerel in the snakehead spot. Never
I'm
caught
not
any
sure
of
if
them.
this is true, but it sounds
All out
true.
of the water. Oh, well, they're Satan's fish.
I
Well, they can
mean,
only breathe out of the water for 18 hours or something like that. So, and I've never seen one on land crawling anywhere. So, but I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to see Bobby. I'm excited to camp, hang out by the fire, play with my wood stove in here. He's gonna bring up his buddy heater because I do need to figure out like a second form of heat that's not when like for the bus running and that's not the wood stove.
yeah.
So either a buddy heater, which also I can use when we're ice fishing and other scenarios, or some sort of small
Wolf.
diesel heater. And Jerry,
I made that up. So I should probably I
Yeah, I was
suck
gonna
at this
say, is that
considering I do this audio only for the Spotify and
snakehead. Go ahead.
so what Wolf of Walmart said is snakehead crawl out of the water, burrow underground for the winter because they're Satan's fish. And I honestly, you know, I'm a naive Vermonter. We don't
What are
have
they,
things like
turtles?
that up here. And then he's like, I made that up. To be honest, I have no idea. They don't come this far north. They die up here. I don't know if they'd make it. They'd probably die up here, but
Well, I would
or
rather
bears would
catch.
eat them.
I would rather catch a bowfin. That's tough to say. A bowfin and a snakehead. Bowfin get bigger, right? I mean, I've caught an 8-pound bowfin.
Bowfin get big. It can.
I'll take a bowfin over a snakehead. I like them all.
I never caught either.
What?
Never caught either.
You live in Vermont. The only place I've ever caught a bowfin is in Vermont.
So you have to understand, I live in Vermont, but we want to know how many times I've fished Champlain in the last 5 years? 2.
Are they only in Champlain?
That's it. Something like 1,000.
Really?
There might be a couple small inland lakes that have them, but they're not that common.
How about those lamprey things with the
I mean, some of those are bigger than the bowfin. We've caught lamprey like they're huge.
What do you do with it? Is it good bait? Like what?
Cut the head off, throw it back in. Because you can't you can't kill them. You could stomp on them and they won't die. You have to literally sever their head to kill them. So when you find them on a fish, you take a knife and you take your fillet knife and you just and then throw them back in.
I've only found I think we got an out. Wow, my New York just came out.
My New York.
I've only ever caught an alligator gar that had a spot in it that was definitely from a lamprey. But
Champlain, almost every fish you catch has a fucking circle on them somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's insane.
It's crazy. Pike do. It's ridiculous. But yeah, no. I'm excited for that. I had a skiing trip that was freaking awesome. I don't feel like excuse me. I don't feel like I captured enough of it on camera, but I am gonna make some sort of video out of it. I want to do another trip, but I don't even know. Maybe I'll be able to go like very early March if it's not warm and they have some artificial snow still
So you
out.
heard it here first. Bingy's driving down to New Jersey sometime in March to go catch some fish. Just saying.
I am ready for that. I really want to get back on the snakehead bite that we had a couple years ago. Like chatterbait bite, just them ripping, like just inhaling it. And then you're catching like, Soraya caught our biggest bass, which was like 4 pounds at the time. Because it was just early spring and they were all just like waking the F up.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
So for notes, for those of you, the uninitiated, that I haven't really done any content with this yet, but if you watch the ice fishing video that I just put out, you notice that I have a little bit of a different setup on the back of my truck. So I picked up a cap for the back of my truck, which is going to allow me to do camping. One of the main reasons I haven't done a lot of traveling is because hotels and campgrounds are expensive. And not everybody can have a fully retrofitted bus with a nice stove in the back that can.
It has its limits, though.
Yeah,
it has
almost kills you when the exhaust falls off.
Still dealing with that.
You guys want to see some funny content? Go look for driving with a mask.
Janelle drugs herself. It only
don't worry, she's not stoned. It's just carbon monoxide.
It only causes issues when it comes to like the law, like worrying about the law and having civilians like notice that I have a wood stove and it's burning, and like, you know, if they say anything like, am I gonna get a knock on the door? Other than that, I would park wherever the hell I wanted, but that's my only source of heat right now, so I'm not really doing as much camping in the bus in the wintertime. But
I would recommend, you'll have to see it when we meet up in Carmi. That little diesel heater I have would probably work really well because you could just build it in and you're using a bus. So I mean, having a can of diesel just means you have backup fuel for the bus.
Oh
so
yeah,
it ends up being the same. So it really works out for you, anyways.
I think I'm definitely bringing the generator up for our trip. That way, I'm not like up Schitt's Creek without something.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it is. So will that be your, other than Cayuga, that's going to be like your next
big trip?
Big trip. So
yeah.
To be fair, like it's a safe trip. Like I'm very like Janelle will tell you like she probably gets mad at me because I like big brother her all the time. So I'd be like, yeah, come to Vermont because worst case scenario, you just gotta call me and tell me where you are and I will come get you if something happens. And then like we literally made a plan for this trip and we're like, okay, for the first 2 days we'll fish and then just park in my driveway and you can recharge all your batteries. And then like
Yep.
it's just it's I would rather have you be able to work the bugs out before you go to like Maine and then like are hanging out with the mooses until I can
I
get up there 14
I need to
hours.
hit the lottery. I need money, man. And I hate that I hate that I need money. Like I've always hated that. I've always hated that you're like tied down. Like I need now that I have the bus finished, and that's great, but my funds are going to go
the,
kaput very
the
very
irony
soon.
of the dream, right? So I don't want to say I'm rich, right? But I can support my household. I have plenty
Right.
of toys and I can buy what I want for the most part. But like back in the day, like living in a bus was like what you did when you failed at life. Now it's like the
Yeah.
goal for a lot of
the
people to like, I want to live in a bus by the river is like, used to be a cliche for being poor. Now it's like the dream, but it
Well,
costs so
also,
much money to maintain that lifestyle that it's crazy.
and that's also because like for my generation, how old are you? I'm just gonna ask just flat out. How old are you?
38.
All right, you're 8 years older than me. So like, the shift is in there somewhere. But like for my parents' generation, it was like if you work hard and you can stay consistent, you'll be able to provide and make a good living and have the
Yep.
things. It's not happening for my generation. It's
No.
just not. Like F that. Like I've done the big girl jobs and I was still living paycheck to paycheck. So what's the difference between now and
This is why I love having Wolf
no,
in the chat
no,
all the
Wolf,
time.
incorrect.
If you sleep with your hand
Um,
into. So actually, you know what? Funny fact though, I will tell you this, and the enthusiast adventurer can confirm this. A trick you can do to stay warm in cold temperatures is if you take like a stainless steel water bottle, boil water, put it in that,
throw it in
wrap it in
there.
like a sock so you don't burn yourself. You can actually put that in a sleeping bag and it will act as a heat source.
Yep.
I actually, so to answer your question, Wolf, I bought it actually worked out really funny. So I've been looking for a truck topper for a while. I was actually trying to work with some companies. I'm still open if anybody is watching and wants to reach out to me, hit up your boy. But I would love to get an overlanding cap. I really would. They're really cool. There's a lot of features of it that I would like. But for now, I did the redneck Facebook marketplace deal and got extremely lucky because I found a guy who literally had the exact same make model truck as me that had the color matched cap that goes with my truck. So I actually have it's just an ARE camper shell truck. It's non-insulated, which I actually think is going to be an advantage, and I'll explain that in a second. But it's nothing fancy. Literally, the locks are rusted shut, so I'm gonna have to like anti-seize them off and then put new locks on it. But the idea behind it is that I want to be able to do this camping trip. This is actually gonna be the first time I camp in it. I'm just gonna throw one of those foldable cots. I have a memory foam mattress that I'm gonna throw on top and sleep in the back of my truck. That way I can, on a whim, drive. Like Janelle can call me and say, "Hey, the snakehead bites hot this week." I can just drive down on a Friday and
Yeah.
find some parking lot somewhere and hope I don't get raped in New Jersey while I'm waiting to catch some snakeheads.
That's so. Well, here's the funny thing. You literally are basically probably gonna park right in front of my parents' house and just
Yeah, that's
camp
fine.
there
Yeah. So
because
and it
it's 4 minutes from the boat launch, maybe
perfect.
5. I'm not even kidding you. Like it's down
Yeah.
the street. There's no point for you to go anywhere else. Just
True.
I'll
So
look out
then
my
I
window and be like, "Good night, Mike."
so then I literally went out and I decided, we're going to double down on this. And I bought one of those diesel heaters that everybody's talking about on YouTube and stuff like that. All the overlanding guys use them. So I have it
I know.
rigged up so that it sits on a little stand outside of my cap because I am worried about dying in my sleep because the diesel exhaust isn't exactly healthy. Janelle can speak to that very, very strongly from driving in her bus. And I bought a heating duct system. So essentially what I'm going to do is slide open a window. I have a piece of foam with the heating duct attached to it that I'm going to have that attaches to the window of my cap to pump heat in. The good thing about that is it's going to allow me to just have it be modular. I can use it or not use it depending on what the temperature is. And the fact that my cap's not insulated, I did sit in the cap. This is a redneck thing you'll hear, but I sat in my driveway with a diesel heater running into my cap, just sitting on the floor of my truck bed, just waiting to see if the temperature changed to see what it felt like. And it
Just
started
hanging
to
out.
get warm like 15 minutes in. So I used one of those like laser heat guns, the one I
Okay.
use for my bait making. The heat coming out of that vent hole is like 190 degrees.
Jeez Louise.
So
That's crazy.
it's a 6-foot truck bed. And the thing is, because it's running outside, what's cool is it does
Right.
have an app and a remote that I can control it from inside, so I can turn it up and down as I need to.
Love that. Yep.
But at the same time, it's still going to be constantly pumping heat in. So theoretically, it's a good problem to have. But if I actually were to take the time to really insulate that cap, I probably would cook myself in that freaking cap. So having some heat loss actually could be beneficial. So that like kind of keeps
Yeah.
it at a regular level. Because I know it changed the temperature of my shed like 15 degrees in like an hour, and my shed's a 10 by 10 shed with like tarp walls. Like it's got no insulation at all. And it's a literally like corrugated sheet metal roof. Like there's zero insulation factor at all. It's basically open air. So that's going to be really fun. And actually, it's funny because I actually have a buddy that lives like 20 minutes from the boat ramp. He's like, why don't you sleep at my house? And I'm like, this is where the difference in our world from your guys' world is that I'm like, but the content, I want to make a video about being uncomfortable and sleeping in the back of an aluminum
It's the
truck.
only reason why I'll do it. Like last time I did this, I recorded it all. I got to get that video up soon-ish. It'll come up. But I recorded it and I was like, oh, okay, but it was cold and I can feel it right now. Like I have 2 jackets on.
To be honest, I could have used the fucking heater at Cayuga. That night was brutal.
But not for me.
Yeah, you were in a glorified tarp with sticks outside.
That's right.
I was
right.
freezing that Saturday night.
You could have knocked on the door, bro. You could have knocked on the door.
I don't know. I was afraid the jersey would come out. Like, who's out there? And then just like
first of all, you should always be afraid that the jersey's gonna come out. But like, I would have thought it was one of my people before I thought anything. I've opened my door for strangers. Fucking cares.
True. I don't know. You know what's funny is like it was one of those deals where it was so cold during that trip that it's actually the first time we've been able to like publicly talk about the trip. But like, it was so cold when I was in the freaking tent that it was like I was doing that like I've really got to pee, but is it worth it to get out of this cot and then get rid of all the warmth I've built up in this cot right now? Because the one thing that's good is like it sucks and it doesn't is I bought that like 3-inch memory foam topper to put on the cot because the freaking mattress that comes with those cots is like
ass.
It's absolutely useless. It's like a sleeping bag material stuffed with like a handful of cotton. It's not like it's nothing. Like you might as well not even have it. So the problem with that memory foam is when it gets cold, it gets rock hard.
Yeah.
Until your body heat heats it up. So then your body heat heats it up, but then it acts like an insulator and it traps that heat. So that I got heat underneath me, heat on top of me. So I was like nice and cocooned. But every time I would move and like the air would get in between, because I didn't have like a sleeping bag, I was using like layered comforters. So like anytime the air would flow into the blanket, I was like,
Imagine our ancestors. They're like, you guys are such pansies. We slept on twigs and pine boughs for insulation and deer hides and shit, and you people are complaining. If I had, you know what, my heated vest, I don't know if it's in here. I can't find it. I had it for my hunting trip. Don't know where it is. That thing is a game changer. And I can imagine if you got like the pants ones or even just the booty ones that are like puffer material that are heated, that and a vest combination, deadly.
So I'll tell you, you know why I don't have one of those yet? Because I bought one and until I was on my fat injections, I couldn't fit into any of them.
Yeah.
Because all the ones that they made, they didn't make them for like dad bod beer gut style bodies. So like they would fit me as long as I didn't want to zip it.
Right. Yeah.
So I haven't bought one, but I really want a vest for hunting because I hate, like, I can layer up my legs and it doesn't bother me.
Their
But
upper,
my
it's
upper
hard.
body, it sucks. I hate like this trip I'm going on. That's one of the coolest things about this trip that you guys are going to see content on in a couple of weeks is that we're staying at an Airbnb. So I'm going to be able to, for the first time, ice fishing content career, drive the 3 hours to this lake in a single pair of pants and a hoodie and be comfortable for 3 hours instead of having to Michelin man myself, jump in my truck, run no heat all the way up because I'll die if I do, and then jump out of the truck, throw my bibs on, and go fish. I'll be able to actually change when I get there and not have to freaking sweat my ass off all the way up. But at the same time, like, the content is going to be fun, but it's also like I hate layering. I hate it. I always try to like. Every time I start out overdressed, and then like I do the same thing for hunting. The first like 2 hunting trips, I am way overdressed because I would rather, like, once you get cold, it's over.
Well,
If you're
that's
too
the
hot,
best.
you can be like, okay, I'll unzip my coat or I'll take my
That's the
hat
best
off.
advice my dad ever gave me is you can always take layers off, but you
Yep.
can't put layers on that you don't have.
Right.
So, and I'm also a woman, so I'm always like trying to be prepared for things.
Right.
But the heated vest, I feel like, is definitely going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I want to get one of
because
those.
your arms are free too. Because
Right.
like I've got a hoodie on under this jacket, and I still feel like constricted, but
Yep. Yeah.
warm.
Get a heated vest so that, like, for ice fishing, for hunting, even actually late season and early season kayaking.
Just be careful with the
Because
electrocution factor. Don't get that thing wet.
most of those are 12-volt. They're not gonna.
My
You could
dad
take a
bought the.
you could take a bath with a 12-volt battery. People think that it's a problem. It's not an issue.
Well, people just are looking for a looking for
I
a
mean,
joke.
you don't want to take a bath with a toaster, but you definitely want to take a bath with it's
No,
fine.
my
But yeah,
dad has the Tide We the hunting bibs that are heated. And he
yeah,
loves them.
I looked into those.
$100 or whatever they were when he bought.
They weren't that
them.
bad. They were pretty cheap
No?
online. Yeah.
I just need
See,
them in black.
I bought the vest from them, but the problem is, again, now granted, since I tried that vest on, I've lost 72 pounds. Like, when you see me, you're like, what the fuck? Because I've lost like literally.
Whoa!
I was 330 when we met last year at the trade show. I'm 260 now.
Well,
So, like,
proud of you.
honestly, it's
crazy.
So you know what it was? Is my doctor was like, it's a really bad. So I always made the joke, I'm just going to keep going until I run out of sizes. I ran out of sizes.
No.
Yeah. Hunting and fishing brands stopped making sizes at 3X, and I got to 4X. Jesus. And I couldn't buy shit anymore.
Not cool.
And I was like, okay. And then I went to my physical and they did all my blood work. And my doctor's like, here's your choice. You can go on the shot that's going to help you lose weight, or the next physical, you're going to be talking about how you manage your diabetes. Because I wasn't even pre-diabetic. I was like, the line is here. And I was like, right there.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the line. So it was like, I was basically diabetic. It was like a matter of not if, it's a matter of the next time you test, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
So I ended up, and it wasn't like that hard of an adjustment with the shot. I'm absolutely positive I'm gonna be part of some class action lawsuit later that if you took Wegovy, you have rights. And then, like,
it's inevitable. It'll happen.
I can't wait to catch my rare form of cancer from my weight loss, my healthy journey to lose weight. But that being said, I'm also hoping that it will allow me to carry more. Because this is how stupid I am. This is like, oh, I lost 70 pounds. That means I can carry that much more gear.
More gear in your
kayak
kayak. You're such a dick. That's a Mike freaking thought if I've ever heard one.
I'm like, oh, I can get a bigger lithium battery now because I have 70 more pounds to work with. Now, that being said, I am hoping that this trade show that I go to on the 31st, is going to have, because literally the same trade show that we met at last year. I'm going again this year with FX, and I'm hoping that one booth that was near Chris's booth that had they had a native Titan X there last year for sale, and I'm kind of hoping that I may be coming home with a kayak from the trade show, guys. So be prepared for an interesting video. It's budgeted. It's already sitting in the account.
I'm at the point where I'm still...
the very same trade show, Pete, that you're going to be going to. So this guy right here, if you guys are going to be in the Massachusetts area, the New England Fishing Expo, Stoneman and Sons has a booth there. Very, very cool bait painter. He makes a lot of really cool designs. I've actually caught fish on his designs. Just didn't mention it because I also work with eBay and there's some conflict of interest there. But this is also the guy who was running the Slay Nation trail last year, the tournament trail that I was fishing in. I'm actually running it this year. Oh, surprise, I'm the director of Slay Nation for Mod Small Vessel Series now, too.
Hey-o.
A lot has changed since the last time you guys see me.
My
but,
boy.
yeah, I'm going to be doing the trade show circuit. Come to Sacramento. Yeah, dude, the problem with that, so when you come to Sacramento, you could win a free Titan X. Yeah, the problem is the flight's going to cost me more than the goddamn kayak would to get all the way to California. I will tell you, dude, if I ever get a situation where I can get a sponsor or someone who will promote or do the channel in a way that I could sponsor a trip, I would probably fly to California and then make you get me a boat from Kayak City that I could borrow or something and then go fishing, because I know you got the hookup down there. So,
well, I'm at the point now where I'm very mad that Nick came out with this Slayer Propel LTE light, whatever you want to fucking call it.
So I wouldn't be, though. So here's the thing. Okay.
Tell me why. Let's hear this story.
No,
from
seriously.
The old...
So think about this. Once you get yourself established, right? You've done literally nothing to your old town. Okay?
I've scratched it.
That's it. That you could probably sell yours and almost trade even.
I'm aware, but
because that Old Town PDL kayak, and that's something I want to be clear with people. The reason I'm getting a Titan X is because I want more. I want to add more shit and more accessories, and I want a bigger platform. It's not anything to do with the Old Town being bad. It's not the Old Town. If anybody is looking for a 10-foot or 12-foot starter kayak that you want to pedal drive, it is the kayak. It is stable. Right. It is reliable. I have beat the hell out of it. Janelle has seen my kayak.
I have. Oh my god.
It's
a wonder.
It's ridiculous. The crap I have on this thing. I have it rigged out where I go buy guys in, no joke, $150,000 Phoenix bass boats that stop and go, what the fuck? Because I have every possible. It's the problem is I've literally hit capacity on this kayak, and I wanted a little bit more space and a few other cool features that other kayaks offer, but the Old Towns are just reliable. I mean, I was out in that freaking storm in Cayuga. You guys came back in the boat, pedaling my.
I don't know how you did it. I would have been like, "Let me on your boat."
Yeah, that was. It was ridiculous.
I'm just looking at. I'm looking at the specs of the Slayer Propel LTE. First of all, they don't have my color.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm very angry.
I'm not saying. Well, I'm literally saying if you can find a way to trade even at some point, it might not be
It would be worth it.
Because the thing that you got to understand, I actually really want you to put you know what? We need to record. I'm not giving you a choice. You need to record a video walkthrough of your bus because you haven't really done it yet.
That's true.
And then we'll release it. I'll record it. You release it on your channel. That's fine.
I was just going to say, I need someone to film it. We'll record it when we're up there.
Yeah, if only you had a content creator that's going to be meeting you that could hang out with you to film.
Damn, I'm not bringing my kayak.
If you guys could see how this goddamn kayak is rigged on the back of this bus.
It's bad. It works, but.
if you guys want to understand, her trips have to take into account how high the bridges are, because she can't just GPS her way anywhere,
I
because
need
she has
13
to
foot
figure
clearance.
out what the clearance height is,
I need
because
13
her
feet.
kayak's vertical on the back of the bus.
Because I don't have a choice. How
'Cause
else am I
she's got
supposed
nowhere
to
to put
mount
it.
that
Yeah.
thing?
Yep.
And even if I put it on top, I would be the same height. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
I just really like the fact that that it's just open on the Slayer. Like
It's
Old Town, like the way that I'm planning on mounting my kayak crate on my Old Town is not putting it in that back tank wall, is actually putting it on top, because I'm all the way up in my feet. If you want, hell yeah.
so I'm giving away a lot here in this episode
I
already.
know.
So,
Like, are we talking about it? Let's talk about it.
yeah, we are gonna talk about it. So
Let's do it.
Janelle saw me making some bait, saw some of the bait videos I put out, and she came up with a really good idea that we're gonna do. So this winter trip is a precursor to an eventual summer trip, and the plan was we're gonna meet, fish. So we're gonna fish basically over the course of. She's gonna be up here for a full week. I gotta work in between, and I'm not gonna lie though, I might take some days off and make it an even.
I'm a
I
bad
might
influence.
I
It's
might
fine.
I might throw some PTO at it and then just be like only work a couple of days or something, and then that way we can do longer trips. But
That'd be
anyways,
awesome.
point of the story is she's gonna be up here for a week. I'm gonna try to take her to, if I can take some time off, almost probably 3-4 lakes, because there's a couple lakes near me that you could park the bus and then we could just take my truck and go fish, and then you could get your
Right,
bus
yeah.
recharged and stuff.
Okay.
Anyways, my ADHD kicked in there. Pete Stolman has graciously offered his shop to let us make baits in, because my bait shop, for those listening in audio podcast, I'm very vigorously air quoting, is again a 10 by 10 shed that has like, lawnmowers and shit in there. So like I'm just barely squeaking in there. So I'm gonna grab my molds, grab my plastisol, have everything ready to go, and then we can do it at Pete's shop. Maybe even have Pete paint some baits and do some other stuff, because he does
Pete, that would
airbrushing and
be
all that.
awesome.
So if he's
Thank you.
free to do that, and he offered up the shop, it's it's a nice warm place to like be able to do it.
I have done the at-home soft plastics where I make molds out of plaster Paris and then I like pour it in there. So, there we go. But
So our guest is about to come in, and I want to answer this question first.
Okay, sure.
Wolf,
No problem.
where in Pennsylvania you're going to be in September?
Me?
No, Wolf of Walmart says he's coming to Pennsylvania in September.
Oh, let's go. I have a place in Halstead, which is right near what is it? Oh my God, Halstead, PA. It's right on the Susquehanna, like right there. So
gotcha. So
let's hang out.
we'll bring our guest in here too while we're at this, but real quick, we're literally talking bait making, so it couldn't have been better timing for you to show up at this point. But yeah, so Wolf, we'll have to talk, because, and actually, yeah, Pete could judge the baits, but actually the strategy was we were going to pour the baits, and then we're actually going to fish those specific baits come summer.
I'm so excited. I'm
better.
so excited. I'm pumped.
But for those of you who aren't familiar, my boy Bobby, our mutual friend Bobby, had this guy on and has been talking about his products for a while. He has a little line called JIgs, and probably the coolest logo that any bait company has. I think he's almost as famous for his logo as he is for the products that he produces at this point.
Do you have the logo tatted? Do you have it tatted on you at all?
No, I haven't went that far yet.
Okay. I'm just wondering if that's an option. Just pull it out.
I did throw "yet" in there.
Okay.
I'm sure it's something.
So, now I have to ask, how did you decide to start making jigs and baits and stuff, or was it something that you just didn't have something you wanted and needed to make your own, or how did you get started with that?
Yeah. A few years back, I was tournament kayak angling when I was off the boat. When I was home, I would try to hit events, and then I would do mainly the monthlies because it just worked out with my schedule.
Yep.
And I was noticing some callers were working in waters, and I wanted a jig in that collar. I tried a couple different times to really get what I wanted, and I wasn't able to. So I bought a cheap vise from Amazon for like $19. I bought 2 packs of skirt and like a 5 pound mixed bag that you can get from some of the lure companies, and I was making them, and then I had a couple buddies that kayak fish, so I'd send them to them. They were having good success on them, and he was like, "Man, you should consider selling these at some point." So we just over the last 4 years, we've really grown. We're fixing to launch our rods into the public here soon after my little group Pig Nation gets their fill, and I have a drop coming up this week, so I'll be releasing some more stuff. But it just started with nothing. I still have the first jig I tied over here on my wall and the vise done up, but it's just escalated from there.
It's I think that's one of the funnest things about bass fishing is like you get into it. There's so many different tiers of it. There's people that just do it on the weekends, but then there's people like me that literally I'm planning on going ice fishing this weekend, and everybody's like, "Oh, I want to catch a pickerel or I want to catch a trout," and I'm like, "I want to go find a school of smallmouth."
That'd be awesome.
Like, yeah, it'd be cool to catch a trout and pickerel, and like I'll catch whatever, jumbo, perch. I don't really care. But like my main goal, because my buddy that's going with us just bought like the ice fishing Garmin kit with the bag and everything, and I'm like, dude, we need to set that thing up and start scoping for smallies. Like, and the thing with it is you get obsessed with it, but then almost everybody at some point travels down into the like tinkering phase. And you just kind of turned the tinkering phase into a business. So
Yeah, over the last couple years, I take my nephews and a lot of the younger kids fishing that know I make the baits and stuff, and they get bored really easy. So we didn't never set out to be like a ultralight BFS type business, but it just works, man. I had the best year of fishing this last year, throwing BFS ultralight stuff. I still throw the traditional stuff, of course, but it's just fun. I like going and catching numbers. The big ones always come along with it. So we'll go out and catch 30 and call it a day.
It's a good day. Pretty good day.
Yeah, it's fun.
The BFS thing too is like it's becoming more and more popular, and honestly, with the forward-facing sonar stuff, it's going to blow up even more because a lot of that style of fishing like BFS lends to that technique a lot. So you're going to end up getting a lot of guys. Like I've actually debated on. I hate drop shotting. Hate it. Absolutely. It's like my least favorite technique to do.
Like
it really is.
Drop shotting vertically.
The whole setup.
Or just the whole technique.
I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it.
I love
Same.
drop shot.
But
I heard you. All right, it's fine. It's fine.
Again, I'm giving away a ton of juice, but it's the first episode of 2025. I am buying a new kayak. It's already in the budget. I'm also gonna probably pick up that Eagle i9 that's got the like mini forward-facing sonar setup built into it. It doesn't require the black box and all of that. It's an expensive unit, and it's kind of more suited for a kayak because I don't have to do all the extra wiring. And I'm going to be ordering some stuff from this man because I want to have some finessey jigs, some BFS style stuff that I can use on that technique. But also, I'm thinking instead of doing the traditional like spinning rod setup, I might just get a BFS setup that I use for drop shotting and doing that finesse stuff because I don't know if I'm touched or what, but I can't get fluorocarbon to stay on a fucking spinning rod. I've bought Tatsu, I have bought Trilene, I have bought Reaction Tack. I have put 5 different brands on a spinning rod, and at some point throughout that day, I open up that bail and it goes off that reel.
Really?
And I've boiled it. I have watched 17 YouTube videos on the direction it's supposed to come off the damn spool. And for some reason, I can't get the damn line to stay on that freaking reel. So I either end up having to run like a 12-foot leader or
Yeah.
run it on. So I'm thinking I might go in a weird direction of just getting a BFS setup and then using that for drop shotting, because essentially that casting reel is going to be a lot more forgiving for me. It's just I've had more luck with smaller line with straight fluoro on a casting reel like that than I have with spinning rod. So I'm thinking I might go that route. Now, that being said, being sponsored by, well, not sponsored, but pro staff for FX doesn't have a BFS setup. So I'm going to have to go outside of my
Outsource it.
bubble to do that. But, and I know a guy named Bobby Roast Beef who will constantly talk about BFS on every
Oh my
5
God.
minutes. So
Talks it.
So-
He just talks it up.
We have a BFS rod coming out soon. Do you want me to grab it real quick?
absolutely.
Hell
What makes
yeah.
that's a good question. What makes a BFS rod a BFS specific rod? Like, what makes it different than like an ultralight? Like, what's the
So this is when it first came out. I follow a lot of channels and stuff, a lot of the JDM market stuff as well. And when I first got into it, I got a certain reel, and basically to me that was just like what you would use as a medium spinning, but as a casting version. So I was like, this is kind of pointless. Like I would just use my medium spinning rod. And the more I got into it over the last couple years, it just allows for the control more so of
That's what I
rather
want.
than the spinning. I mean, I'm pretty accurate with a spinning rod, ultralight rod, whatever the medium, but that it just allows you to just pick like spots apart where you want around cover on the banks,
Yep.
The control also of the actual rod, when you're actually like working a jig or something,
Right.
you seem to have more of a feel when you can like palm the rod and
Okay. Yep.
actually feel the blank. I'll show you the rod. We
Absolutely.
did all like minimal stuff, so it doesn't have a bunch of crazy stuff on it, but it's performance and like super sensitive ultralight.
We were just talking about how I was redneck engineering a heating system for my back of my truck, so don't worry about.
Yeah.
I'm all about it, man.
I'm about functional, like I'm not really.
Oh, it's my brother actually makes the rods for me, and he does a fantastic job. Trying not to get in all the
Don't
stuff
break it.
that's
Oh
in
my
here.
God.
Yeah, he's so far behind right now for just trying to get him out in the group. But so it's comes with wind grips.
Nice.
It's got our logo there you were talking about. It's all blacked out. It has a Fuji SK reel seat.
Okay.
So when you put your hand here, you're actually on the blanket itself.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you're a straight contact to it.
Yeah, FX does that. It's nice. It makes a big difference being able to have your hand right on that.
We got this and the all hand wrap microwave guides all the way up.
That's cool.
I really can't get too far over here without. I'm in my bait bunker where I make all the baits, but
Right.
I run you were talking about the spinning and stuff. I'm not a fan of fluoro on the spinning either. I run all braid to fluoro leader. It seems
Yeah,
like even on
me
my
too.
BFS stuff. Yeah, this is like a 8-pound braid, and then my other one I run 6 if I'm running something a little lighter.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
I agree. That's a beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
looking
it.
rod.
That's a little tender
Yeah,
shoot.
that's definitely. So you guys are going to be. So you're going to retail at some point? Obviously, it's like, I mean, for perspective, guys, this isn't like he's got a factory full of workers making this stuff. It's when he can get it out the door. It's not. It's a one-man show, and obviously you have the guy making rods for you now too. But you said you're going retail with that as soon as you can, or is it like you have a projection of a goal for next year, or how's that going to work?
Actually, we were hoping to get him out by the end of last year.
Okay.
Just in life general. Then I'm only home 6 months out of the year, so I wanted to test everything.
Yep.
We have an ultralight spinning setup too that's coming out, but I have a group called Pig Nation. So it's a group of anglers that I've selected all over the country. So when I have customers contact me, so say from like Florida, Washington, New York, New Jersey, I don't get to fish those areas if ever. So
Yeah.
I contact them. I told my brother when we started to do it, I was like, let's let them get whatever they want, and then we'll release to the public. Well, just like a week ago or so, I dropped the bomb. I was cutting them off because some of them are up to like 2 rods now and stuff, and I was like, let's get it to the public, and then we can go back to you guys. Which I felt it was only right that they support me so much and things that I give them first dibs on trying the product out and stuff. So.
No, that's cool. That's one thing that I wish. So partly my channel started because of that. Because people that in the bait industry, they don't think about you get a streamlined version. So like what happens is my boy, like Alex Rudd, for example. Alex Rudd talks about that freaking money badger.
All,
It
all day, every day.
It doesn't work up here. I've never met a single person that's caught a fish on it. And I saw a lot of videos back in the day, and Tactical Bassin is a perfect example. They're like, oh, you need to use a shad pattern. Well, I got news for you. And this is something that everyone in the chat's going to start laughing at. I actually think about making t-shirts. I've never seen a shad. We don't have them. Yeah. They don't exist. I have no idea what the hell a shad is. Now, we have alewives in Champlain. That's the only shad species we have, and they're an invasive.
Yeah.
I live in the Northeast. It is yellow perch, bluegill, and baby trout, and each other. Yeah. That's what our fish are eating. That's it. Like, that's the thing is like, so I started making videos talking about how to fish Vermont and how to fish Massachusetts and the local area, because it like there was a lot of content out there that I would see guys like the trade show that I met Jeanette. So I met Jeanette at a trade show actually with Bobby. She was hanging out with Bobby, and they came up to the booth when I was hanging out with Abe, and like, you don't know how many kids I saw buying like 12-inch glide baits that had never bass fished before.
Right.
And the YouTube, don't get me wrong, Pure Fish and Call Me, I would take some deals from certain companies, but at the same time, there's a lot of pushing of stuff that like you don't. To be honest, if you're gonna start, I think actually BFS, even though it's kind of like niche and new right now, BFS is actually probably a better way to start than a 12-inch glide, because a BFS rod can do a lot, and you'd be surprised what you can catch on those little baits. Like I've got a lot of big fish on little baits.
While I was testing the BFS rod, just it's been 6-7 weeks ago before we really got a cold front. I knew they were going to start feeding up real heavy, and I caught them on the banks. But I have a little 1/16 ounce elated, I call it. So it's like an ultralight bladed. That thing thumps. And on that little rod I just showed you, I landed a 3.5, and then 5 days later landed a 4.5. Small braid, fighting it through grass. I mean, I have a video on my page. I was out of breath, worried I was going to lose it. I was trying to, we're trying to promote a rod and show the quality of it. I knew I could get it in if I could get it out of that grass. I mean, it handled it perfect. And I think you're right, because that's what I was saying about like my nephews and like even my wife and things. I have a jiglet that we just released. So it's a special head. It's real flat. This is a 1/16 ounce that I was painting today. That's why I told you I was sorry. I was a little bit late getting on here, but this is a custom order I'm going to do for a guy, but it's hard to see in this, but it actually has like little nubbies on it. So it's super flat.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And when it in the water, I mean, it stands straight up, but you can actually drop this on the table and it'll look like it's going to lay down, and like magic, it just pops right back up. We've got a couple of videos on our page, but I gave this same thing to a lady I fish with where I go test my baits down by the river. She's 70 years old. She was using a Doc Demon for the longest time until I hooked her up with a bigger setup. And she was watching me slay the crappie one day all the way around this creek. I was up and down testing collars and things. And she's like, wow, that thing's really working. I was like, well, let me tie it on for you. And I tied it on for her, showed her the trailer, how to work it, went on about my business, and it was just a few minutes later, I heard splash, splash, splash. So a lady who had never, didn't even know what a jig was until I met her, was catching fish on it. And
That's
it's
cool.
nice. I mean, you're not going to catch, 12 pounders all day long, but it's satisfying to me to send products out where
So
people
I
can
will
catch
say though,
numbers.
the misconception though is I can tell you I caught, I can't remember, it was like a 24, 26-inch pike on a 6 cents Picos. And if you've seen those things,
Uh-huh.
tiny. I mean, I had to like jig like a football jig hook set to get that tiny little hook to bury into that pike's
Yeah.
face. But you can get, especially early season. So up here in the Northeast, like once ice out happens, those fish aren't looking to hit even a 4-inch swim bait. They'll hit a 1.8, a 2-inch swim bait, or a small jig, or a micro finesse jig. They'll hit those all day because their metabolism is still so low that they're just looking for a quick bite. So a lot of times there's specific times where just throwing a small little, I've used like little finesse jigs before and caught big smallies on them. The only thing you have to do is, and that's where a BFS rod, which is why I'm thinking about going that route, is the lightest rod I have is a medium heavy moderate right now, and like maybe a medium spinning. And that's the one thing I will say about BFS is you're gonna bend that out with a medium heavy rod. Like it doesn't have the ability. I'm putting a lot of tension on that hook.
Yeah,
So that's why I want to get like a more specific setup, because there is, and like you said, there is days where you just want to bite. And it's fun to just go catch 10
That's
crappie
me
or
all
10
the time.
perch or 50, small fish.
I just
And the
wanna
other thing
bite.
I learned from Bobby's multi-species tournament taught me something that I never thought that it would teach me. And that is, I am by nature. So I grew up trout fishing with my dad. We used to do the trolling for salmon and trout. Then I got into bass fishing later in life. And then what I did learn, and the BFS thing is a perfect example of that, is if you can consistently catch bluegill or crappie, well, guess what the bass are eating? So if you can find a good crappie hole, the bass aren't too far from that. The bass are in that area because they're following that same school that you're chasing. So if you go start targeting bluegill, you start targeting shad, you start targeting those multi-species, you're actually doing research for the bigger species that you may want to target later because that's their food source. So by knowing how to fish for the smaller species or the panfish species, you're actually learning structure and territory that's going to help you catch bass too. Because how many times you accidentally catch a crappie when you're bass fishing? Well, it's because that's what they're eating. They're there because there's food there. And that, like I said, sometimes you don't need the 12-inch glide bait or the 1-ounce jig. Sometimes they want the 164-ounce micro jig.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's
how it is.
tiny.
Especially smallmouth. Smallmouth love all that stuff.
They do. Oh my god, I can't even.
Yeah.
God, on Instagram they look so much bigger.
Yeah. And honestly, that's got to be an art form tying those.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't do it on live. I used to tie some stuff up, but it's just something I've honed in. It took a lot of, pricks of my finger and adjusting of the hands and things. This one is super tiny. It's a Wonder Bread. A guy from New Jersey wanted it. That's a big color up north, especially for the ice stuff. But we do some 164s. I got like a limited mule jig. Most of the stuff, honestly, that 132nd is. I mean, I put I got buddies that make plastics I collab with all the time, and I mainly use their stuff because I can hone in on anything and the colors I want. But mainly it's like a 2-inch swim for like my baits, but like these little ones I use Helgermites and small crawls. And I've got like a buggy series in this, and I had a video of 2024, like where I went back and was looking at all the stuff, the catches of the year. And that black mayfly solid black with the black Helgi on it.
Yeah.
It should have won an award for me last year. I didn't realize how many fish I caught on it. I kept telling people how good it was, and you just look at it, it's just plain black. But when it hits the water and it has that look to it, that little jig, they just can't resist it. Everything eats it. It seems like.
Ooh, green pumpkin and purple. Yeah. That's a deadly color combination, first of all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
purple in a jig is nice. I love
It's
purple.
magic. It's magic.
Yeah,
Well,
we
again,
actually have a color called Purple Magic.
No way.
Yeah, I think I could grab it off the shelf. Actually,
Please.
it's right here. Actually,
she's pulling out. She's putting an order in. You watch. His phone's gonna start dinging.
I'm just on his Instagram.
Yeah,
On his
she's gonna pull up his website. Start.
Dude. Well, all of my money right now is going to be spent on ice fishing stuff since I'm going to be hitting up.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. That's the other thing, though. BFS stuff and ice fishing stuff is pretty interchangeable, to be honest. A lot of
I
that
need
BFS
gas
stuff
money,
is in the same
okay?
bubble.
What is it? Let me see. It's so magical. Yup.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
What size
Hell
hook
of a
does that have
ball.
on it?
so this is a size 1, and it's tied on an
Okay.
EWG.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was going to say it looked different.
So
Yeah.
you can rig it up weedless. It's kind of hard to see. You barely have to put any. I'm going the wrong way. It's like backwards, but you can kind of see it there. You just barely,
Little keeper.
run it up on there, and it's actually like the skirt pins it on there. And this Ned and Jig,
I love that has an EWG because, like, a lot of times the main reason I'm using a jig is because of the 4x4 ability of being able to drag it through stuff. With an EWG hook, you don't need a weed guard. You just have the EWG hook. So as long as you put your plastic on straight, you get the same effect without having the extra resistance of the weed guard, or there is the obvious loss of, especially with like the BFS stuff too. Like, weed guards are cool, but the hook is already so small that it does screw with your hookup ratio.
Yeah. And I've always preferred my skirt. Like, isn't that called like a clown finesse? What's the style that cut?
Oh, with like the mane on top with like the little.
Yeah, I've always preferred that profile on a jig. And I just love that you've got that. It's just
the lion's mane.
Yeah.
It's different. I started doing them on the finesse ball jigs, and I'm a huge fan of mule fishing. Like, really like that guy. Creek Outfitters, those guys, they kind of got me into like all the smaller ultralight stuff. And I had a couple of his stuff laying around one day, and I tied one up, and I was like, this might work. And I went and caught 30 in 2 hours. Granted, it was multi-species bass, crappie, bluegill. So I took my nephew, and I was like, if he can catch fish on this, he's never fished a jig, we're going to release it. And we just stuck with it. It worked so well, we stuck with it.
Yeah, it's so. And you do make, like, I was looking at your stuff. You guys, you have, I mean, it's not just BFS. You've got some stuff that's in the standard size too. So
you spend so much money on your website.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. Sorry.
You're good. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. This is like a little crawl trailer, like I would toss on, one of the new jiglets and stuff.
Yeah.
But
gnarly.
Beforehand, one of the reasons why we did that main was to allow it to stand up more. So it gave it more of still allowed motion, but it allowed it to stand up more. But we had that custom head sent in from Canada, had it made, and we dialed it in, and now we're still going to use that. It's a little shorter now, the collar itself. But it's. I'll show you. I got a couple of those jiglets, but these things are so tiny. They're like little morsels for anything that's swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
I love it. Like the little, oh, look at it. Okay, I need it. It's not fair because I had been following you on Instagram for a while, and then you
That's a
did
quarter.
Bobby's podcast. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just say in the spring I will be filling a cart or two.
Yeah. Yeah, hit
Yeah.
us up. If we can do anything, we'll be glad to do it for you.
Yeah, no, I've had my eye on your products for a while. So when Mike told me you were gonna be on here, I was like, I can't even. I'm fangirling over here.
To be
fangirling.
honest, you helped me because I've been asking her for probably, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months to be my co-host. And I finally convinced her because I said I was bringing you on and I needed a co-host. And she said, "Well, maybe I'll try it because he's coming on." Because she's
Well,
like,
now
"I
I
follow
want-
him on Instagram and I've been following his stuff." And that's actually one of the
Now
things,
I-
you know, this whole podcast world, like all three
Mhm.
of us were essentially brought together because of Bobby. Bobby has done a lot of weird like connections like that. Like I have a lot of like weird industry stuff that I've made. Like, you know, honestly,
he
I've
does.
met with a lot of people because of him, but it's like never would have even considered BFS. I really wouldn't have until I fished with Bobby and watched him like kick my ass with BFS.
Bobby,
in the same boat, and he's pulling 3-to-1 fish on me, and I'm not even like going elaborate. Like I was throwing a freaking Kitech. Like I wasn't like going way off the reservation. He was just throwing a smaller Kitech on BFS, and he was able to fish it better. And that smallie he caught, I don't know if you saw when he caught his PB smallie.
Yep.
It's freaking like 20-inch smallie on freaking 4-pound test on a BFS setup, and he's freaking out the entire time because what you don't see in my video is that thing jumped 3 times.
Oh my God! Stopped your heart.
Like Shamu style, like Free Willy jumping out of the water, and every time you could hear him pucker and then dive with his rod to the water to keep it from. But it's just like that to me. Like that's why it's one of the only things I like about ice fishing. I hate ice fishing. It's funny because like I put out content every year. I do ice fishing, and I've said this I said it in one other place. I said it in a chat actually on Dark Horses Live recently. But so to me, fishing is my drug. So fishing is cocaine. Ice fishing is like crack cocaine. It gets me there, but it's not what I want to do. And the jig rod is where the BFS kind of equates to me as like when I'm jigging and I catch a freaking 6-inch perch, but it feels like a monster because that rod is just so flimsy and you have to baby it. You have to really work at it. The thought of catching like a smallmouth with an actual BFS setup, that's because smallmouth fight hard. Like, could you imagine now if you happen to get into a freaking snakehead with BFS rod?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That would probably be terrifying, but it might be pretty fun.
We could do that when you come down this spring.
If you want to test your BFS rod's strength against the snakehead, we can make a video for you. Just saying.
I would like.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I need a.
It'd be interesting to see. I would expect any BFS rod to surrender to that fight, but we could see, I guess, because those fish supposedly are aggressive. I've never caught one, but I'm going to find out.
They are. Love it. Yeah. No.
We put the. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna do it now that you said it. I'm gonna buy.
I've challenged her now.
I'm gonna try to get the casting rod, the spinning rod. I'm gonna throw it and see if I can get one. That'd be awesome.
It takes some convincing, but I mean, I love, man. Before I started, making the jigs in full time, so now it's not a full time job for me, but that's mainly what I do. But I was a Texas rig cranking, just power finesse frog, just crank it and rip and rip type of fisherman. But I actually enjoy. It's actually like the day I caught the 4.5, like I had missed 3 times on that same bank with a micro jig, broke off on a leader that the same year, devastated the whole time. I continued to fish that night. I'm like, that was it. Like you can always tell when you've got a good one on, when, especially if you're ultralight or BFS fishing, when the rod tip touches your handle, you're like, oh yeah, That's it. Like it doesn't
Yep.
give you a chance. There, it just runs, and you know that if you crank down on the drag, you're done. So you're just fighting. I'd love to see that snakehead battle on video.
Hey,
We took him.
I run 3 cameras when I'm fishing, so hey, I'll do my very best. to
That's
get it
one of those
all-
things where like I grew up like doing the king salmon fishing thing on Lake Ontario. And that's really what the appeal to catching those fish is the fact that it can take you 30 minutes to get the thing in the boat. Like it's just it's sheer power. Like we've literally caught fish before like you're handing the rod off because you're so tired from fighting that fish that someone else needs to like you need a break because your hand is like vibrating because it's so hard to fight them. BFS kind of gives you that experience with the smaller species because realistically a 4-pound largemouth on a BFS rod's a fight, especially because you're lighter line. You gotta play with the drag a little bit more. You're not able to, but that's where like I said, I hate drop shotting. I hate the stuff that I need to learn how to do to be able to fish this forward facing sonar style techniques. I could probably get away with a BFS setup with. And then I would have that versatility of being able to go multi-species fish or trout fish or whatever. So I'm thinking that I might dabble into that world next year just because it's something that, and like I said, I will admit I've literally taken freaking 130 seconds micro jigs and thrown them into pads and caught largemouth on them. It's not, people have this weird misconception that you got to throw a 6-inch worm or 10-inch lizard to catch big fish, but you can catch monster. Matter of fact, Bobby's PB Smalley on the Connecticut River, I could be wrong, but I think it was on a pig jig's head, and it was
yeah. It's on the bladed jig. He loves it, man.
yeah, and it was a little like 2.8 Kitech that he had on the trailer. It was
He
just a
loves
little,
the 2.8 Kitech, that man.
He messaged me shortly after that, and he was like, "I'm so glad I found this," and I was like, "Me too, man." I love Bobby. He's great, and his enthusiasm is just contagious to people. That's you were talking earlier about like the connection. You know, everybody kind of is on this live right now. Some doings to him. He's just socially, and he just gets it. You know, he's a people person. And
this entire banner
you know,
at the bottom of this screen, with the exception of Grande Bass, we're all in one way or another a connection through Bobby. Because I went to a trade show to hang out with Bobby and met A-Bay. At A-Bay, FX was there, and I talked to a different trade show. I talked to FX at that trade show. I met Dark Horse Tackle at Bobby's 200th episode show. Reaction Tackle, I got introduced because of Bobby, and then talked to Cody and got signed on. Fish or Die, again, another bait company that
I've collabed with him.
Yeah, and and again, it's the same thing. And when I was at Cayuga with Janelle, who I met through Bobby, he had sent me some extra baits, and actually almost all of the fish I caught were on the bonus baits that I got from Fish or Die when I ordered some Ajax. He threw me some extra baits. Yeah, see,
Yes,
that
I need that lure. I need
that has
lure in
that
my
that has
life.
like bluegill all over it up here where they would smash that.
Well, that's the thing too for me. Like first of all, in New Jersey we have a lot of pickerel, and I love a pickerel fight. They give up a good fight, and I would love to get like some BFS stuff dialed up for them. But also we've got some nice perch here, some good crappie. Like I've got some spots that I'm already this spring. I'm like, I know where I'm taking my tackle. Like I know where I'm going with it. So.
And with that Old Town, you can kind of get right up in there too. You'll be able to sneak up into those spots. So
I ride at Old Town too. I love it.
It's awesome. It's an awesome boat.
Yeah. I made the mistake of buying an inexpensive kayak from a company, and it was dented and it had a hole in it when it got to me. So I had to drive to Missouri to swap it out because they weren't going to take it. And I went, no, take it back, and I want an Old Town. So
yeah, I messed around in a field and stream for a little bit.
My dad had a Pelican sit on top.
Mm-hmm.
Most terrifying kayak you'll ever sit in your life.
I was afraid to move in mine.
Dude,
and I'm like,
so I'm going to give you an example of what it's like fishing in that thing. It's like this.
Yeah.
like every movement, you feel like you're going in. Like I will tell you though, if you want abs of steel, that is the kayak to buy because you are going to be ripped when you get off the water because every movement gives you that like I'm falling in the water feeling. So that's actually how my kayak and like my whole channel started. From my mom wanted to exercise, so she got a sit-in kayak, and she convinced my dad to buy a sit-on top because my dad loves fishing. And she's like, "Oh, you could go fishing while I paddle around." So dad bought a sit-on top Pelican, and that thing, dude, oh my god, it was terrifying. And then eventually I upgraded. I mean, I didn't even upgrade. I got a freaking like Sun Dolphin. I started in one of those Sun Dolphin Phoenix Walmart. It's like a 10-foot kayak. The only reason I upgraded, honestly, I had a lot of fun with that kayak. I actually sold it to a guy who I still see fishing out of it. It's like every once in a while, I'll pull on the ramp. He's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Dude, you're still using that thing?" Like, but what I found out was, I at the time was like almost 300 pounds in a kayak that was rated for 200 pounds with 8 rods, 3,700 boxes, and like I was to honestly, to Sun Dolphin's credit, I was doubling the capacity of that boat out in the middle of Lake Champlain in 200 feet of water, and it was fine. I mean, granted, I did notice that mine drafted a lot lower than my dad's. I was like,
got like that much freeboard, man.
Yeah, I was like literally like, I mean, it was super stable because I was so low in the water that the thing couldn't tip over. But I ended up seeing a video from Rudd, and he was talking about that Old Town that he had, the one that actually had the Minn Kota, the original Minn Kota motor in it. And he was like, "Oh, the weight capacity is 500 pounds, which is great." And I went, wait. My $200 Walmart kayak, your $2,000 kayak has a 500-pound rating. What's my 200? I didn't know I was overweight. So then I started looking up the specs, and I go, "Oh, I probably shouldn't be a mile offshore in the middle of one of the roughest lakes in the area." And Janelle's Fish Champlain, it's one of those lakes where it's like you get up in the morning and there's no wind and it's a nice calm day and it's smooth glass. And in 20 minutes, you're in 4-foot rollers holding on to your butt trying to figure out how you're going to get to shore and not die. You have that little time. It's because what it is it's a river that flows north. So it's a lake, but it's by definition a river that has current that flows. The wind always seems to come out of the north. So then what happens is the current hits against the wind, and it creates this like epic set of storms and rollers, and it makes the washboard deal. So it's never like a nice swell. It's like 17 directions of chop.
Yeah.
So in a little kayak, you're just like trying to figure out how you're going to survive, and it's just not
I've
fun.
seen a boat get flipped, like tied to the dock, flipped, like filled, rolled under the dock, and all the guys' stuff was just floating down Champlain.
Yeah.
That trip, we fished 2 days out of 7 days because it was unfishable.
Champlain's one of those places that you book a 10-day trip to plan to fish 5.
Yeah, but I love it.
Because there's going to be a storm. Like, I mean, literally, Bassmasters cancels tournaments on Champlain.
Yeah.
I mean, and think about how much money they have invested in those events, and they're just like, yeah, it's not safe for guys who do this for a living in 20-foot fiberglass boats. So, like, it's bad. So, like, that's where I was like, okay, I need to upgrade. And I will never take away from the Old Town. I just want more space. I want more space so I can buy more bait, so I can get some jig.
Yeah, that's all he wants. For all the pig jig stuff he's gonna buy, I'm
gonna buy pig jigs, and then I need 2 more BFS rods, and I need more places to put rods, and that's what it comes.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the spinning rod you're talking about for trout.
You know what I'm excited about? As dumb as this sounds, I'm excited about that freaking hat you've been posting on Instagram. I might even order that. I'm almost as excited about the hat that you're trying to sell as I am about the baits that you're trying to hawk. It's kind of funny.
My God.
Your logo
You should make a beanie that has pig ears. Like, you should make a beanie that's like knitted that has the little. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
My favorite color scheme is like that black and lime green, and then you start like throwing your pig logo on that. I'm like, yeah, I want in. Like,
need it.
The funny part is I actually was sponsored in my Beer Gut Softball League by Whistle Pig.
Yeah.
And they have a very similar, like, their pig kind of has that same look to it. Yours is a little bit more, zombie-ish.
Yeah, it's a bass with a pig with a bass print on it. So it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
some people's like, "Do you work at Piggly Wiggly?" I'm like, "Nah." I'll
Nope,
take
they
it
could call.
though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I take it they don't fish.
Yeah.
But here's you were speaking of the hats.
Yeah, like exactly.
I brought
Like-
back some of the OG colors this time. That's the camo, the Cryptek hat.
The Cryptek one was the one I was looking at because I wear a lot of the Cryptek stuff.
I was gonna say you have a lot of Cryptek camo. I don't actually own any Cryptek camo.
You know why I
The
own a
one
lot
I
of
wear-
Cryptek stuff is because I got
It
them
fits you?
wholesale. Was doing the like
Oh,
cricket.
damn it. Oh, that's a nice classical black. That's clean.
I like that too. That is cool.
Yeah.
I keep going the opposite way. I'm sorry. I'm not real good with
It's okay.
lives and things.
You will
I don't do a lot.
never point the right direction the first time. It never works. See,
There
that's
we go.
cool. I like
Mhm.
that.
Give me
Super
some
thick.
ears, man. Give me some ears on it.
You gotta get you gotta order when you order your baits. You should order one of those so we can wear it at Carmi when we go out on the ice fishing trip.
So
Alright,
I'm always
deal.
up for like a good video. So if you go and you have a planned trip and you want to chase those snakehead and you know a caller,
Okay.
hit me up and I'll send you some stuff because I want to see that.
Okay, that's.
I want to see
well,
it.
he's coming. He's definitely
yeah, I'll
coming
come
down
film
in the
it.
spring, so we will be in contact.
Yeah,
That
you'll
would be
have-
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
between me and
Oh,
her, I mean,
so-
I have about 5 of these laying around,
Yeah.
Nice.
and they're 4K 120, so you'll be able to see the pigment in your
Nice.
paint because of the
Heck,
damn cameras that we use.
I'll be
but
using his rod. Look at me. We're just using all of his stuff.
I
Just
yeah, I
you want
know.
to see the spinning rod? I mean, dude, I beat this thing up. I mean, I've
Please.
caught hundreds of fish on this thing already.
Yeah.
It's got 4-pound test on it.
Oh my god.
You guys ever use kayak cushion? Shout out kayak cushion. I even use them in my
Hey.
seat.
Look at him. He's looking for it. There it is.
I got 2 of them.
I own my.
You know what
cushion
this
is from-
works for? You know what you'd love this for?
What?
I found a use for these that I never thought I would use it for. Is in my
What?
freaking truck seat for long
Oh.
drives.
Okay.
I
Really?
actually put this on my truck seat for like the 3-hour drives because truck seats are uncomfortable as hell. And these actually good for hunting too. When you use them on a tree
Oh.
stand, these are actually really good on tree stands too.
All right.
I use
You'll
mine on
stop
my tree
selling
stand.
me.
Yeah, I bought 2 of them.
Oh my
because
god, I need it. I need it in my life. That's a
Wow.
gorgeous rod. Yeah.
That is crazy thin too. I like that though. That is cool.
Mike, when we get together in the summer, it's Pig Jigs Smallmouth Challenge.
I'm down.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, FX
No,
doesn't
that's
have
amazing.
a BFS line, so that technically gives me the free pass to.
Bobby's been trying to convince me of it since last winter, and I've been thinking. I mean,
What
like
would
all
you recommend
species,
for a
so-
reel for a BFS setup?
Ooh,
Have you
that's a
found
good
anything
question.
that's like?
Yes. So that one is I mean, it's a tender shoot. I love it, but if you're not more into the round bells and stuff, I would go. And Bobby's going to say this too, or if you ask
say the
him.
dark- Which one? That I have it in my phone. I've had this saved for a year.
Yeah.
Dark Wolf.
Dark
reel
Wolf
from
Ultra.
Bobby's. Yep. All
I-
right.
I think there's a couple other, companies out there that are very similar, but it's the one that I tried.
Right.
After I gave it a chance the first time, I heard such good things about it. I tried it, and 1/16 is its sweet spot, for my opinion. Like, you can cast lighter stuff with it, and I have 6-pound braid, and I use a 4-pound leader when I go, but
That's
1/16 is enjoyable to actually fish it all day. You're not worrying about the backlashes, every 10 cast trying to cast something. If I go 1/32, I'm just going to grab that ultralight behind me
Yeah,
and
exactly.
not worry about it.
Right.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot, and you can choose not to answer. when you go retail on the rods, what are you looking at for a price point, or have you gotten that far yet with that?
Yeah.
You tell me to shut up too. I kind of put you on the spot with that question. So.
No, you're all right, man. I will say this: if you look into custom rods, they are super expensive.
Mhm.
You know,
They're not cheap, and
with
they're
all
not
the
cheap to
stuff.
make. You're not. It's not like you're making them in on them either. It's
Right.
markup on them
We're
a
not
lot.
making 100 at a time, but our goal, I'm not going to give a price
Fair enough.
Good job.
until we go, but I will say this: we designed and tested it for people that can actually afford to want a custom rod that would never be able to get it in their hands. So you're talking a normal custom rod, and those guys do great work. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we've tried to find the components that fit the price, and he enjoys doing it, and I'm super glad he is doing it for me. But you're looking at half or a little over half of what you're normally going to pay. So it's reasonable to get it in your hand.
Fair enough.
We want people to be able to enjoy a great custom rod, American made rod, by a veteran, my brother, and not feel like when you take it out, like I've said, I beat those rods up. If you pay $300 for a rod, you barely even fish it. If you do, you're like setting it down and like,
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not just throwing them around, but I feel more comfortable using it knowing I didn't, spend half a paycheck trying to get it.
It's these guys that throw these 12-inch glide baits that cost $300 and they throw it 3 times a year because they're afraid of throwing it in certain situations. It's like, then why own it? But no, and I will say the custom. I put you on the spot of the price because I'm wondering, because like I know like FX, they're production rods. They're not really truly custom anymore. They are producing them now. Granted, they're designed, and I can go. Matter of fact, if you guys watch the episode on the 26th, I'm doing an entire rod episode before I go to the trade show. But not only are custom rods the components and everything, but then BFS has its own little flair to it because you have to have enough strength to fight a fish, but enough sensitivity, and you have to be able to cast. It's not easy designing a rod to cast a 1/16 ounce bait. That's not an easy thing to do. That's not something that's simple to set up.
That rod is under 3 grams.
Yeah.
Dude.
So it's like that one's a little heavier, but when I had the Dark Wolf Ultra on it, I mean it's crazy. You just have to actually see it. I had it at a show I did, kind of demo and then let people see it, and people pick it up and they're like, this has a reel and everything on it, and it's light. It's enjoyable to fish all day too. And
it's amazing what a light rod will do for you, though. It's really
whippy and. But yeah, I stand behind him 100%. And the guys in the group that have them already, they're absolutely loving them, and we look forward to getting them out to people and just making people happy and seeing them catch fish on things. That's the idea of it, just want people to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. And there's a place, like you were talking about the 12-inch glide bait. There's a place for that, but where I live, there's really not that much a place for it. So we kind of hone it down. We're on the opposite end of the spectrum here in West Virginia. But we just enjoy putting out good products and hoping everybody's enjoying using them as much as we like making them. So,
well, and the other thing too is like, and this is what's again kind of got me thinking about the BFS stuff is, like you said, there is a specific 12-inch glide bait bite. There is a specific 6-inch glide bait bite.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, though, there's kind of always a 1/16 ounce jig bite.
That's true.
I tell you what, man,
it's more versatile throughout the whole year. Go right now. Go online. I ask any of you. Go look at a Wisconsin ice fishing video. Tell me what they're using.
Yeah.
And that's a micro jig. It's called an ice fishing jig, but guess what? It's a micro jig. It's the same freaking bait. So, and the thing is, they'll work in the summertime when the fish get finicky because it's small, it's downsized, and it's finessey. and it looks more natural. In the cold water, they're downsize what they're eating because the fish that they're eating are smaller, so they'll eat it. It's literally probably one of the few baits that will work all year because of its size. So like you actually kind of get more versatility out of a BFS setup than you would a swim bait rod, because you're not going to use a swim bait rod when the water temp's 40.
Right. Yeah. I don't have, like, I got into it so much too, because I stay, I'm an engineer at my full time job. And then I just, I got this room downstairs in my basement, and it keeps me busy a lot. Like today, I was pouring heads, trying to get everything poured up before I leave. I'm releasing a new product here on Monday. And when I get a chance to go out, I just want to enjoy being outside, relax, and catch fish. Like, uh, doesn't matter to me. I love catching smallmouth. I love catching trout because that's the state I live in. They kind of thrive on those two species. Um, but I'm just as happy catching 20 bluegill and crappie on a ultralight 4 pound test on a 1/32 ounce jig all day. It just it's fun. It's nice, and that's, you were talking about how we do the bigger stuff. That's actually how I get my patterns and stuff. Like, um, I'll go to a place and I'll test these little jigs, and that's kind of how I got started too. So I could, when I go to do my swim jigs, like my poison tails and things like that, um, I can hone in on that picture. Like I have it in my hand. I'm not on the internet. I'm literally deciphering between the 3 and 4 bluegill that are in this water, and we're making one, like as close as we can.
Right.
So you don't have to have a swim jig for this color, that color. It's all right there in front of you.
Yep. No, and that's the coolest thing about it. So I have decided, by the way,
Oh boy.
I made a decision for you. So when
Let's
you
hear it.
are ready to release your rods and they're actually out and available in retail, we'll definitely have you back on, and we can maybe have you talk about them, and we can push them then and show them to everybody at that point. Once you're, ready to promote them again, I would love to get, you definitely have, I mean, not that we need to end it right now either. Just wanted to throw that out there. I like trying to help small guys push their stuff out, and I know how hard it is to get the word out, and it's fun to me. Like this isn't a career for me. I mean, again, if the right person starts sending me checks, it could be a career for me, but it's not why I do it. I do it because the content side mixes with the fishing side for me, and it's like you could take a bad day of fishing, but I could still make a cool video. You know, and that's something that it's kind of like with you, like you're having a bad day bass fishing, but then you just say, screw it, I'm going to go hammer on some crappie for an hour and a half. It still gives you that release that you need. And that's why we do it. Right. So same thing with the content for me. Like a lot of the educational content that you see on my channel was because just know when you guys watch my channel and I go, hey guys, we're going to talk about this technique today. That's because I just spent 6 hours beating my head against the wall, not catching a damn thing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go make a video. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. There's pads here. Let's make a video about frogs, because I sucked that day. That's probably why that educational video exists, because I wanted to make the content. It's the same thing with like what you're saying is like, there is times where I've been like, screw it, let's just go see if I can find some crappie or some bluegill, or see if I can catch a jumbo perch, because the bass are just not having it. So screw it, I'm going to go do that.
Bobby was like, have you ever thought about like just not
I don't know
bringing
why you don't
everything
do
out on the boat? And I said, Bobby, I want to catch fish. I don't care what kind of fish it is. I just want to catch fish. So I start off with my light gear for any panfish or pickerel or whatever, and I work my way up. So I always have everything ready to go. If I want a crappie bite and they're like 8-inch crappie, but that's my day, then I'm happy doing that. So I want to be.
I used to be elitist. I will admit, I used to be elitist and was like, I don't even want to mess with. Like the thing is, I'm spoiled too. So I have a lake next to my house that has crappie, it has bullhead, it has perch, everything in it, but it also has 5 and 6 and sometimes into 7 pound largemouth
brag
that I can catch out of the same day. Like I can throw a Kitech and pull a crappie and a pike, and I could pull a 40-inch pike, a 7-inch or 7-pound largemouth, and a 10-inch bluegill out of the same spot. It's just how this area breaks down. So I've gotten spoiled. So I ended up like trying to like do the like head hunt, trophy hunt fish. But then I started doing Bobby's multi-species tournaments, and I was like, it's funny is you'll never get more pissed off. That tournament creates more aggravation for me. It is the funniest tournament ever because you'll never get so mad because you can't catch a fucking perch in your life.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying, they won't bite for some reason. Any other time, I have caught 6-inch perch on 1/2-ounce swim jigs I don't even know how they got the damn hook in their mouth, and like you almost have to break their jaw to get the hook back out of their mouth. I don't know how they got it in there, but just I've started to learn about myself that, like you said, there's days where it's just like I want to just go catch something. I want to just, and that's definitely what I want to start really focusing on next year. Is like if I'm having a bad day of bass fishing, just because crappie elude me. Like I've never caught a crappie on purpose.
Really?
What?
Never caught one up. I've never caught one on purpose. It's always been like catching. It's actually usually on something like it's a jig head. It's like what it's literally like that head. I'll throw that with like a small Kitech, but it's because I'm downsizing trying to catch bass, and crappie will eat that stuff up.
So anytime like you see a treetop sticking out of the water, there's crappie in it. If they're in the water, they're probably in there. I don't know what depth they're, like.
Right.
But yeah, I love targeting the crappie.
That's actually why the bass get so big in the lake I'm in, is because that's one of their main there's huge crappie schools in there. And I know the bass were eating them because I've definitely caught bass where they've puked them up, but
so
I just got to learn how to fish for them.
And
that forward-facing sonar is going to help me too. Definitely, I'll be able to see the school.
So when I was younger, I had 2 older gentlemen, probably my grandfather's age at this point, So, I was out fishing, and I just kept seeing them catch crappie after crappie, and I was like, man, one of these days I'm going to ask these guys, because a lot of people, they're not going to tell you what they're catching all their fish on. Some people do and some people don't. So they taught me the float method.
Okay.
So basically you're running a bobber and you're running some type of, they like the Blakemore Roadrunners, like some type of spinner or something. So when you would drag the bobber, you're not reeling it, you're dragging it kind of back and letting the bait catch it. And then you reel up your slack, and then you drag the bobber back, a foot, and then reel up your slack. And that's kind of how I got started. And now I'm more into the crappie jigs, the spins, smaller spinner baits and things like that. But it got me started. And once you find one, it's not really saying that they're there. But if you catch a second one, you found them.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Anytime I've caught him, it's been like I've been just bass fishing, right? But I'm usually I'm throwing like a Ned, or I'm throwing a freaking small size Kitech trying to get a bite, and then like you said, I'll get a bite, and then I'll pull it in. I'm like, oh, crappie, cool, throw it back, and then bite, crappie, oh, cool, throw it back. Like crappie. Then it becomes like a vicious cycle. Yeah, I
got one of those in my cart right now, just so you know.
That's a little sherbert.
Now, do crappie like more bright colors? Do you find? Like I've noticed, like crappie baits tend to always be like chartreuse
or colors.
Pinks,
they just
yes. I like pink and chartreuse. I like black and chartreuse, and I like the old classic. We've got one called Pig's Milk, but the Monkey's Milk. So it kind of got like a dark, a bright, and a light, and that's generally what I fish.
Makes sense.
But I've been having a lot of luck with these right here. My buddy makes a little 2-inch swim bait, black diamond. I will show you the crappie spin that I do. It's got a V-lock hook on it, and it's built in.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
Blade. It's also in my cart right now.
I was gonna say
I gotta
that.
stop. I gotta
yeah.
stop, dude. Like, I just want to throw that down an ice hole right now and just.
I was gonna
do a
say,
little-
actually, that would probably work really good.
It's in
jigging
my
them
cart.
ice.
It's right there. I got what? Oh no, I got it in white.
Jigging
Oh,
that
no.
through the ice would definitely have a.
This was just like a limited collar we did because it has. You can see on the website it's actually under the crappie spin limited, and it has any collar that you probably have in a soft plastic for crappie is in this head, so you can just grab it. If like I've learned to not change maybe so much like the spin itself, but just the trailer and do really well. Sometimes they want the white, sometimes they like that chartreuse, sometimes they eat pink like crazy, but
Yeah, see
that thing would be deadly in this dude.
That hook too, like that looks like a pretty solid hook. Like I don't want to say BFS hooks are cheap, but they're usually like a thin wire. That looks like it's got a pretty good like strength to it, at least.
yeah, it's you shouldn't bend it out on crappie, especially if you got the drag set.
no.
It's a little beefier than our micro jigs, but I was able to catch several big bass, and these are only size 6 hooks on these jigs.
Wow.
On these little micro jigs.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a tiny hook.
Yeah.
But that's playing drag and everything too, just to the fullest. I think that's why it's so much fun. It's like a little, but yeah, I've had a lot of success on these since I brought them out here a few months ago. Obviously, I was testing them, but they paired up with that little black diamond. That thing has so much action. I'll swim it, kill it, and just watch the tail go, and then I'll pull it again, and then just let it fall, and it just
See, that right there is a perfect example of like the forward-facing sonar thing that I'm looking to get into. That would you cast it out to a school, you work it, you let it sit, it's gonna work its way through the column. That's gonna be a very little.
His wheels are spinning. Mine are spinning.
No. There's I will end up. I have to save for the kayak, but after this weekend or after the last weekend of January, if they don't have any at the show, I'm gonna end up.
Tell them I need some perch patterns.
It's possible I'll end up with a BFS setup for sure.
So I just painted up a yellow perch pattern today, but I don't know if I have. I usually have a swim jig or two in that, or a little buddy jig. So it's like a ball jig, but it's extra wide gap like the Nedden.
He said swim jig. I know it's not.
Should I get this for ice fishing, Mike? Is this perchy enough for you?
I mean, that's the thing. Like I've looked at his stuff before, and I was like, I definitely could.
I definitely think one or two of these with a little like pop the minnow head off. Oh my god.
Those are all sold out, but.
Oh damn you! No, I'm just kidding.
You can look on our page though, like for the perch patterns. Like I did it for a custom order for a guy. So this is the head. I haven't even put the eyes on it yet, but
show me.
So it has that pearl bottom. It fades into green, and then it has a black top. Get it to go there.
Yeah, that would...
get it to go. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not very good with that whole.
It's okay.
So this is.
I'm not either, and I do this every week, so don't feel bad.
I know.
So that's like some of it, and then I pair it with like a pearl, and then I add this into it too. You can see it on the Instagram page, but I tip it with that orange and stuff.
Oh no, I'm definitely. I mean, after watching Bobby catch that huge smallie on that like bladed jigs that you have, and then on top of it, I'm gonna get swim jigs are like my thing. Like that's my bread and butter. That's what I catch a lot of my. Like I've won a bunch of I've won a lot of money on the swim jig alone, and it's just because it's the versatility of it. Because a swim jig is a jig, so I can still fish it like a jig. I can drag it on the bottom. I can swim it. I can do a lot with it. And like I said, I've looked at your swim jigs already, and I was like, I definitely. It's the colors too. Like that's the other thing is like I can get colors that, like, there's too many of the same generic color patterns that everybody does, in my opinion. And I'm all about like that's actually why like Pete Stoneman that's in the chat, like custom bait makers, the thing about it is you can't buy that at the local retail store. So if it is a slight variation, even if it's similar to another color, but it's have a slight variation, mine's different than yours. Those bass see that same Strike King jig 20 times a day, but they don't see that same Pig Jigs jig color or head or
Right.
size. And that's what really, in my mind, sometimes gets into that granular detail of when you get to a highly pressured lake. Sometimes it's just that tiny variation of color is what means I catch versus you don't. So that's
Right,
why
like-
I get into like small companies that make their own stuff. And honestly, I would much rather support
Small
you
company.
and buy jigs from you than Strike King, because Strike King doesn't need my money. They're going to be
Yeah,
fine.
there's a lot. There's a lot
So-
of great like jig makers, small guys like myself out there, and they hone their craft. And what's awesome is your interaction, not just me alone, but the other ones. A lot of times you got communication with them. So say they have a certain color, but you need less yellow, you need more orange.
Yep.
And that's the difference. And that's when you start honing in on catches and really dialing in your craft is when, I think that's why it's such an advantage, because if you buy one off the shelf, you really can't say I need more chartreuse in this and just add it other than,
Yep.
a color. But
You go in
Do you
there,
get do you get a lot of guys calling you and be like, I want like 7 strands of green and 2 strands of I know like I get it, but I mean sometimes
That'd
I'm
be me.
like it's real detail oriented sometimes. Like
That would be me.
I've talked to like spinnerbait guys are like that. They're like, I only like 7 strand skirts, and I'm like,
Oh, for God's sake!
wow. Like
All right.
so this is something I'm doing for this drop too. I just recently changed everything over to my poison tail to straight bait fish collars.
okay,
So
yep.
it's all that way. I've released 2 collars, and they have just been crushing it down in Florida with these collars. And it's the Fry Chaser, and it's the American Shad collar. So
Okay.
for this drop, I'm only going to have a limited supply of them, but I'm actually releasing some full size spinner baits on the website the first time ever.
Man.
And these are some of the collar patterns that'll go on there,
Oh yeah.
or go the wrong way again.
That's okay. It's yeah, they're nice. They're gnarly.
I like that.
I like
That is
that. I like
cool.
a top one too. Yeah.
This is like you were talking about, like that L Life collar or whatever.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was painting. These are all custom
Yep.
orders for a guy out of New York.
That's he's probably fishing Champlain. It's probably what he's
Probably.
doing with them. Yeah, they that's one of the like big invasives up here that like the fish. Honestly, there's a big like conspiracy theory that gobies are already there too.
Mm.
They're saying the same because Champlain flows into the St. Lawrence, and the gobies have been supposedly spotted down by me. And there's such as like, it's funny because there's a lot of like trout fishermen that are panicking because the gobies eat the trout eggs. And the trout doesn't have trout around here don't have a natural spawn anymore. It's dead. Like any trout that are here are stocked. It's the only lake that
Yeah.
really has natural spawn is Champlain, and it's pretty much just lake trout. Now there is still brookies like up in the mountains and stuff like that.
You got to go way up.
But it's brookies, but it's brookies. It's not, you're not getting the big ones. You're getting just the little ones that live in like 6 inches of water that you have to fly fish for because you're not getting them with maybe BFS gear. You might be able to work it out, but
Throw a little jig in there.
But a lot of the stocking, a lot of the trout here is stock only, and then what is naturally spawning, they're worried that the gobies are going to come in and wipe out eggs and start eating all that stuff up. But as a bass fisherman, I'm like, bring the gobies. I've seen what the gobies have done to the St. Lawrence and St. Clair and some of these other lakes where you're starting to catch these stupid football smallmouth that just gorge on gobies all day long. So I'm like, okay.
Lots of goby baits have been released as of late too. I've noticed. Like plastics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how they just show up randomly?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You're like, I guess that's a thing.
And the funny part about it too is the ironic part about it is what I didn't know. I did a little research on it because I I basically only have Facebook to troll people, so I actually do research when I argue with people on Facebook just so I can sound intelligible. So apparently, one of the big major problems in Champlain is zebra mussels, and apparently gobies eat zebra mussels.
Really? Oh, I'm all
Apparently,
about
their
it then.
main forage is they will literally attack the mussels and raise them off the bottom and smash them on the rocks, and then eat the zebra mussels out of the shells. Like they actually, in some places, have completely eradicated the zebra mussel population. So I wouldn't be heartbroken about not cutting my feet every time I walk along the shores of Champlain without wearing like steel toe boots. And
That's fair.
again, it's like
Yeah.
they're like bass skittles, and they eat them like by the handful.
Yeah.
So I would be okay with it. But
I live in a state where like trout are, man, it's something. I'm actually supposed to be go to a council meeting here this month or next month. We're going to donate like line because so many people come to our area once they stock the lake, they just throw their line everywhere. So we're going to go donate some of those, and I'm going to try to organize a cleanup after the fact.
Yep.
So I'm going to maybe offer some like pizza or something like that once it warms up, and we can go clean the waters back up because most people around where I live, they only trout fish. Like,
so what's funny is I'm from Vermont, right? Everybody that bass
No, you've
fishes,
only mentioned it every opportunity.
everybody that bass fishes, they would assume that Vermont is bass. It's not. Tackle stores sell trout stuff. Everything is fly fishing and trout up here.
Yeah.
It's very, very. Don't get me wrong. Yes, there is bass boats everywhere on Champlain, but everywhere else throughout the state, it's all about trout. And like you'll literally go to tackle stores that won't have bass baits at all.
so
But it's because we have
so
companies like Orvis and all that here that do the fly fishing
yeah.
stuff that push it from that side.
What would you like to see some baits that are going to be coming out soon, maybe for that spectrum?
Sure, absolutely.
I haven't
Why
put a
are you-
lot.
Why are you asking?
Oh yeah,
Of course it
absolutely.
is.
Show 'em.
Okay, I'm an inline spinner girl.
We're gonna make
So
this
this
even
is
better. We're gonna get him
so
even bigger.
this is woolly spin. So it's
Mhm.
1/10 of an ounce, and it's got a size 6 hook on it. No treble, so you don't got to worry about catch and release if you want. Don't got to worry about getting your fingers in it, and it's all hand tied. This will be coming out really, really soon. The big thing that's releasing Monday is this is for all species, but a lot of trout influence. Um, this is also 1/10 of an ounce. It's a tungsten EWG inline, and it has a
Dude.
built-in. All of our inlines have built-in
Swivel?
ball bearing swivel, no line twist,
Beautiful.
extra wide gap. Put a little trout magnet or something, little 2-inch galt minnow on the back of that thing, and
Yep.
get busy.
Yep. No, I would
This
definitely.
is
I'm gonna be spending a lot of money on this website. That looks incredible. That's right up my
thank
alley.
you. So this is
Yeah. Yep.
this is a bluegill, like a bluegill / whatever bait fish. It's got natural stone bead in it, so it's a natural
that
color
would get. I
stud.
have a lake by me that would get destroyed on, for sure.
This one is 1/10 of an ounce too. I try to keep all the first ones I release like around the same weight.
Yeah.
And those two were last two I showed I'm going to be putting those on the website. A lot of people are looking forward to that EWG just because you don't see it, and it's a
Yeah.
tungsten. But
an EWG
this
is
is
a cool idea for that because I've played around with like different trailers, but it doesn't. Those will get caught and stuff for sure.
Yeah.
That is cool. I like that. I actually like that. That's like a
it's
fluorescent.
got that pink.
I'm loving
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, with the natural color, and you can't hardly see it in these, but they've got just a hint of crystal flash on the back, just that eye catch toward the hook.
I
Yep.
love that. I miss.
So-
I don't like. I want to see that more on spinners. Is that red?
Yeah. So this is red, It's got a little bit more crystal flash. I tend to see when they're hitting the red, they're really going after stuff.
Yeah.
Just in my opinion, they're not just picking it up; they're crushing it. So I got a little bit more crystal flash in this, and then we've got that natural grizzly woolly bugger. And then on this one, instead of it being like a French blade, it's got the propeller on it.
That's cool.
Get
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
And we've paired the bead up with the weight, so it's a cupped weight on the bottom. So when you stop it, it has a glass bead, so you can hear it. It's got that clank to it.
Yep.
Dude.
Yeah, those are just things I've been working on as of late.
I gotta say, I'm liking what you're putting together. You've got some really great stuff here. You really do. So
I
keep doing
appreciate
what
it.
you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Yes, sir. Oh, and also thank your brother for his service. Sorry, that just came back into my brain. You said he was a vet. Is he retired or is he in active duty?
He's out now. Yeah, he's out.
Okay. Thank him for his service when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll appreciate that the fullest. This is the last one. I won't keep boring you guys with all these extra
You're not.
baits.
You're like dangling candy in front of us.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this is our dress treble. This is a pink with the crystal flash. It's a size 10 treble. Some people still like to use the trebles. If you're going to catch them and you're going to eat them and stuff, we have a limit of 6 per day where I live. I don't see really nothing wrong with the treble as long as you're not in catch and release. But it's so hard to find a inline in store that will allow you to, just crimp the barb down, use a size 6 J hook and be done with it. And if you're not going to eat them, you don't have to worry about damaging the trout. They're super finicky fish, and you can still go out and catch them and not worrying about, damaging the numbers and stuff. So
I got a lake near me that they stock rainbows, and it's like an 80-acre pond.
Yeah, mine's not that big.
Those would.
Yeah, that's my brain is like. I'm like, okay, I got to think about snakehead, then I got to think about ice fishing. Now I'm thinking about trout. I'm like, I can't. I'm just like excited.
Are you all familiar with the golden trout and stuff?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
So, from my perspective, I think there's, you've got the golden ones that are out west, and they get like big. Well, we had a scientist here in West Virginia do special, breeding and things for about 9 years, and he come up with this fish, the golden trout. It's now like the state fish and stuff. But we have what's called a gold rush here in West Virginia. They will stock the rivers, the lakes, and everything up in the mountains. And it's fun to go chase them, and they are so smart. Like, I've watched people toss eggs, power baits, spinners, and if they see you,
they're gone.
They'll sit there, even look at you, but they know it's like they're not going to bite. But I don't know if I can turn it around. So can you see that? Am I going the right way this time?
Yes. I see a shelf. I see a rod. I see
where I need to go.
Up.
Right
Ta-da!
Oh, okay. That is cool.
West Virginia is only 7 hours from me. I could do that.
Well, I tell you what, if you love the outdoors, there's a place where you can go and you can hit like the Williams, the cranberry, and the cherry all within 30 minutes. I have a buddy who just wrote a book. He's an author. I work with him.
Okay.
And he wrote a book on his trout fishing experiences. Sorry.
No, I'm helping.
Like getting direction. But yeah, he fishes those waters all the time, and it's not a high class destination. They have a nice resort there, but if you're ever interested in trout fishing and whatnot, that's definitely a spot to go. You can hit 3 different waterways within an hour drive, depending on the roads and stuff. But it's good. It's
consider the golden trout on my bucket list now. So
that was the first one I caught.
Oh yeah, That's a good
It's
one.
been years ago, but yeah, it wasn't bad.
No. Is it the
That's
same as a
cool.
thunder trout, or or is that
I
different?
don't know because that's basically like
looks-
a golden rainbow where they've done like
Right.
the hatchery and stuff did so much work. That biologist did so much work,
Yeah.
and studying the fish and their habits and all that stuff. So
All right, so I just looked at the time, and this
I did
app
too.
likes to try to kick us out sometimes. So sometimes we'll be sitting here talking and not realize that it booted us out of live. So
Yeah.
what we're gonna do is I'm gonna call it right here, but I do want to say one, when your rods are ready for retail and available, we will talk and get you to come back on. We can maybe even bring your brother on and have him talk about building the rods if he's cool with coming on videos too. It'd be kind of fun to have him on. Also, if you have any other products or stuff like that you want to release at that time, we can definitely have you back on. I'm always looking for. I like these kind of conversations because it's fun to talk about the stuff that you don't get to learn about from, watching Bassmaster. You don't learn about building
That's
baits
true.
and the little nuances that come to building all these custom things. And also, we're going to be running out of time here in a minute, but the website of everything he's talking about is in the show notes. So if you guys want to check out his site, there's a link right down in the description. Go hit that. Go check out the baits. And I know Janelle's probably already got her credit card out and is already starting to make the order. So
I kind of
if you
do.
guys want to check those out, especially you guys from Vermont, Scott, Vermonter, down by you, there's a lot of trout waters that these fish would destroy those baits. So I definitely recommend picking those up. I've seen them firsthand. I literally watched a man in the censored, believe it or not, the video I put up was the censored version because I tried to censor more of it and it just sounded like Morse code. But I watched a man catch, an almost 5-pound smallmouth on this guy's product. So if you want a testament to how well they hold up, he caught a smallmouth with his bladed jig on BFS gear with 4-pound fluoro. So
Yeah. It's
I
been
can't
done.
give you any better of a testament than that because I watched it happen live and in person and was honestly sweating to get the net because I'm like, I need to make sure I don't lose this fish because he'll never forgive me. But
No, he never would. He never
but yeah,
would.
no, it was definitely awesome having you on. Like I said, I probably would stay longer if this thing wasn't gonna just boot us out. Anyways, so
no, you're good. I thank you so much for asking me to be on here. If you guys need anything or have any questions or whatever, just hit me up. I usually get back to people pretty quick. The best way to reach me is usually Instagram. Um, we're going to be over on. I'm sure you're familiar with them. We're going to be on Devo's Saturday, so you guys come
Cool.
jump
There you
over
go.
there and join the chat and stuff. And
Cool.
thanks again for letting me show all these products off. I feel like it's like putting baits up
Dude,
there, but I greatly appreciate it and all the
honestly,
kind words.
I had more fun watching. Like that's the thing. You kept apologizing, and I'm like that. I mean, dude, it's.
You just like held a tennis ball up in front of a dog, like whoop, whoop.
I'm
We're
a bait
Yeah.
junkie, dude. Like it's. I mean,
yeah,
this whole shelf is.
that's what we love. That's
bait.
why we're here talking about it. So
That's what I do.
So I haven't forgot though. I know it's a short conversation, but I am dead serious about this snakehead. Like
I'm locked in,
We'll do it.
dude.
We'll figure it out.
Me and Mike tomorrow will be on the phone like all afternoon just talking about it. So trust me.
I was actually texting her earlier. I was like, we gotta get one of them rods into a snakehead.
Yeah.
I will figure something out too to make sure that it's small, but we can even maybe increase the hook size for you, make a custom something real quick, and that way you can still get it hook set with the rod and stuff. But I'm definitely interested in that. I want to see that happen.
Sounds good. I'm 100% in.
Thank you all so much again. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're gonna end this right here, guys. Janelle is now officially our co-host. I think I've got her addicted, guys. So keep giving her positivity. If you haven't checked out her channel, run over there and subscribe right now. We dual stream this on both of our channels, so you guys can watch either one. I don't care personally. You want to go watch it on hers? Matter of fact, go watch it on hers. Don't watch it on mine. I want her to get the views. I want her to get the watch time. We want to grow her channel, and go check it out. Go check out Pig Jigs on Instagram. That's how I met him. That's literally how I got him on here. I hit him up on Instagram and said, hey, you were on my buddy's podcast. Do you want to come on mine? and he answered really quickly. So obviously he's pretty responsive because that's how I got him on here. So, but yeah, guys, definitely check his stuff out. And we're going to end the show right here. We will be back in 2 weeks, trying to go back to Thursday nights. And again, depending on whether Janelle is running down to go try to find herself some trout and decides to skip out on the podcast, or if she's here or not, we'll find out when we get there. But, and yeah, again, thanks for coming out. And, probably next time I do one of these lives, I may even have a Pig Jigs hat. We'll see if I can get one ordered.
Heyo.
Let's
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right, guys, we're going to end it right here.
Have a good
See
night,
y'all.
man.